Will Shiba be able to drop 1 0 by the end of this year, or how about couple zero by the end of next year? That will be the topic of today's video. But before we get to that, last time we looked at Shiba was on November the 7th. Here is a recap. We test this 0.65, which is the 10 days moving average. Unfortunately, got rejected. After that, Shiba retraced and very much has been in consolidation within this symmetrical wedge. And now Shiba is very close to the apex. And if we are looking at the Bollinger Band, the Bollinger Band is extremely tight right now. So within the next few hours, Shiba will either break to the upside or break down to the downside. A break to the upside would technically take Shiba to about 0.68, or that should be able to get Shiba to retest the 10 days moving average. However, if there is a breakdown, then we are looking at Shiba to eventually drop down to about 0.47, and the downward momentum could easily push it down. Shiba could likely retest this prior low at 0.45. If there is no support at 0.45, then Shiba could potentially drop down and retest the support of this downward channel at 0.4. Looking at the daily chart, first, the volume is definitely slowing down. So this is not a good sign. Definitely, this is a sign that Shiba is in this consolidation period. And the stochastic oscillator is showing that the red line cross over and lead the blue line. So that is a bearish indication. The Bollinger Band is way overextended after this major spike up in price. So Shiba will continue to retrade. So there's a very high probability that Shiba will continue this consolidation phase for a while. I would say at least another 2 or 3 weeks to get the Bollinger Band to contract. So the way I see it is a very high probability that Shiba would break down of this little symmetrical wedge and retrace. We could potentially see Shiba retest this prior low at 0.45 again. And then after that, I do expect Shiba to continue to trade within a very tight trading range for a while. We are not going to see Shiba run up until it can cross over the 10 days moving average and trade above my target price at 0.65. Fast forward, this is the hourly chart for Shiba, and the data I have is to 6:45 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on November the 13th. Last time when we looked at Shiba was on November the 7th. At that point, Shiba was trending within this little symmetrical wedge, very much like how we had anticipated. The price broke down. Shiba dropped all the way down to about 0.45 before it found support, bounced up, and since then been trading sideways. The good thing is this, Shiba found support at 0.45. So if this trend continues, there is a very high probability that this low, which is at 0.44, could be the bottom as part of this retracement after this huge run-up in price. Now, if we look at how much Shiba retraced when it first spiked up around May timeframe, the retracement is roughly around 78.6%. And that makes sense because after this big spike up, then Bitcoin entered the bear market. So the retracement was a lot more severe because normally the average retracement is roughly around the 50%. And now if we look at Shiba after this major spike up in price, Shiba retraced roughly by over 50%, and it is stabilizing right now. So that makes sense because right now Bitcoin is pretty much still in this bull market. So there's a very strong possibility that we may have seen the bottom at 0.44. Switch over to the daily chart. Shiba broke down from this little symmetrical wedge, dropped all the way down to about 0.45, bounce up. The next day we see this major spike up in price, and it tested the 10 days moving average but get rejected. And the reason for this big spike up in price, there was this really good news regarding to Shiba to be listed by India's first crypto unicorn on its primary trading app. This is really a great news because when you look at the country of India and the number of people they have, this could really help to stabilize the price of Shiba. And that's exactly what happened. after this big spike up, now we're seeing Shiba is pretty much trading sideways, very much stabilizing, and is trading over the resistance of this downward channel. So if Shiba can continue to stabilize and trade sideways, we avoid the risk of Shiba re-entering this downward channel. And the minute it re-enters the downward channel, there is always that probability that it could break down and then retest the support of this downward channel. Then we are looking at the possibility for testing as low as 0.2. Definitely don't want to see that. All right, so now let's see, what do I think the price of Shiba would likely be trading by the end of this year? First of all, when we look at the trend, what happened around the May time frame, after this big spike up, the Bollinger Band get way overextended. And it took Shiba a while to get the Bollinger Band contract. And then after that, it entered this consolidation phase. And it started around June all the way to October. So that is roughly about 4 months. And if we look at the recent spike up, the Bollinger Band get way overextended. And then Shiba retraced, dropped all the way down to 0.44. That allowed the Bollinger Band to begin contracting. But right now, the Bollinger Band is still very wide. So the way I see is, there is a very high probability that Shiba would continue to trade sideways within a tight trading range between 0.44 to 0.65 for the end of this year. So my projection is, Shiba would likely trade at about 0.65 by the end of 2021. By the way, when I say 0.65, what I really mean is 0.00065. 4 zeros and then 65. How about the price for Shiba by the end of 2022? First thing I like to do is find out, let's say from around the May time frame, when Shiba ran up, established this all-time high, and then retraced, consolidate, spike up again and ran to 0.9. What is the extensions from this all-time high to this point? So let's just base on history here. If we look at the Fibonacci extension, that is roughly about 2.618 times from this all-time high to the new all-time high. So assuming that Shiba found bottom, it would likely consolidate, trade sideways, and sometime around the first quarter of 2022, we could potentially see another run-up in price. So if we look at the same sort of extension, which is like 2.618, then we're looking at Shiba dropping 10 and would be trading at around 0.00022 or 30 and 22. However, assuming that if Shiba were to consolidate and pretty much trading sideways within this range of 0.44 to 0.65 until the end of this year, then we are looking at Shiba could potentially form this upward channel. And as part of this upward channel, there is a good possibility that the momentum could easily push the price up to retest the resistance of the upward channel at 0.0003. So there you have it. My prediction for the price of Shiba by the end of this year is a low of 0.44 to a high of 0.65. Most likely it would be right at a rather high range, which is 0.65. For 2022, the range would be at 0.0002 to 0.003. That's it for this video. And don't forget to click that like button and reward me with a like if you appreciate the content that I'm presenting. Also, if you are new to my channel, don't forget to click that subscribe button and subscribe, and make sure you turn notification on. And if you have Twitter, make sure you follow me at Vietmaxim, because I provide constant update on all of our favorite cryptos.